most costly lubrication mistakes. 20 years ago, a buddy and I were having a conversation with Ron Moore, well-recognized author and international reliability expert. Most of you on this channel probably recognize that name, Ron Moore. We asked him where to start a reliability program. Where would you start? And he quickly gave the response, start with lubrication. Get good at lubrication. Kind of case closed. Didn't really expand on it. Got to do lubrication well. Those words 20 years later still ring in my ears. I still think about it, and he was right. I was working in a heavy manufacturing plant, and that's where I did most of my career. And lubrication was easily 30% of the savings that I was able to help drive with my team and my organization, at least 30% from doing that one thing well. So he was right. So in my experience, in my 33 years, what are my top 5 lessons learned, mistakes people have made, mistakes organizations have made that impact the organization financially? This is financial impact. Okay, this is Joe Kuhn of Lean Driven Reliability, bridging the gap between the best practices that you know you should be doing and the reality that you live at your plant every day. So let's get started here. I've got my top 5 here on the whiteboard, and I tried to put these in order, so we'll see how we do and see how it compares. So number 5, too many oils and greases. You got too many varieties. You got, high temperature grease, different thickeners in your grease. You got 20 different greases, and everybody mixes them, matches them everywhere. And, out of convenience, whatever's on the maintenance scooter or whatever's next to the operator and they're supposed to be greasing, they put in there. So too many of them. Narrow that down to 1 vendor, 2 vendors, 4 or 5 maximum number of greases. Save you a lot of money in the long run. Number 4, understanding of dirt size and machine clearances. I mean, this is a big one, folks. Most people don't understand that machine clearances on a bearing are like 1 to 5 microns, and visible dirt, so if you can see it, it's about 40 microns. So 1 to 5 microns to 40, it's massive if you can see it. Massive. The human hair is about 40 to 50 microns. So I've been in organizations where they're filtering through a wire mesh screen. And they're filtering out the boulders. So understanding of what dirt is, airborne dust is huge inside of a machine. So that's just a gross error in what dirt is. Go in your lube room, check that out, see if it's a problem in your plant. So number 3, and I struggled putting this one number 3, but that's where I've got it. MLT 1 and 2. Not having certifications. This is about a 1-week class and a test, and I think this is another week and a test. Getting subject matter experts on lubrication to take part in root cause analysis, to bring discipline and rigor to your lubrication program. Not having that is a big deal. You can get this real easily from a company like Noria. Okay, so number 2, I got Moore's Law of Grease. Everybody knows what that is. More is better. More is better. I'm trying to be funny there. More is not better. Just overall, over-greasing is as big of a problem as not having grease in there. And people respond if they over-grease a motor or something like that. They come out with a policy of not greasing any motors. And then all of a sudden you have problems because you're not greasing things. Over-greasing, you could blow out the seals inside of a bearing. Some grease guns, at least the one we were using at my plant, had 4,500 PSI of pressure. So you crank that thing till you see the grease come out of it. Boom, you blow out the seals, you let contamination and moisture get in. It's just a bad deal. Precision greasing, I got that in the same category. Ultrasonic greasing of bearings is a great technique to make sure you put in the right amount, but precision inside of your greasing, Moore's Law, man, that's a big one. All kinds of money lost there. And number one, and this is going to cause a little bit of a controversy here, but operators, greasing or oiling. Folks, I can easily list $2 million worth of impact of having operators. And it's not that operators are bad people, they're just not trained. They put in the wrong grease, they put in the wrong oil, and they don't have it's in their priority of things to do on the day, it's usually last. A lot of TPM efforts say, hey, why don't we do just minor, easy greasing and lubrication by the operators? And the operators come into work at 7 o'clock in the morning on their shift. Where is greasing that bearing, that conveyor, or adding oil to that blower, that fan, or that pump? Where is that in their priority list for the day? Number 20, number 25, but you have an MLT doing that, or you have a mechanic or electrician, whoever the equipment belongs to, you have them do that on a work order. It's their number one job, and they do it with precision. I'm telling you, easily $2 million in my plants, and that's what I knew about. So I'm not saying operators are bad people, they're incapable, but get those folks trained, make sure they understand dirt, make sure they understand overgreasing, have standardized grease guns. I'm telling you, there's a lot to precision lubrication and doing it well. By far my number one. Okay, overall, you know, these can all be encompassed into not having lubrication excellence as a core competency. You know, is that true at your plant? We do lubrication well. Next week, you know, two things. Can you find evidence of these in your plant? Walk around, go to your lube room, go to your equipment. Do you see evidence of any of these things? Is lubrication a core value at your plant? Is it fundamental to what you do? It could be 30–40% of your total R&M budget, and your total reliability problems could have a root cause of lubrication. Are you treating it like that? Agree with my list? Let me know in the comments. Thank you.